went to school with me.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. We'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Arsenko.
Here.
Mrs. Gatos.
Here.
Dr. Griesbach.
Here.
Mr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Johns.
Here.
Mr. Clary.
Here.
Mr. Duncan.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Little.
Here.
Mr. Dice.
Here.
Mr. Lally.
Here.
Mr. Hugus.
Here.
Mr. Sedlak.
Here.
Come back.
And before I open up to public comment on the proposed agenda items only, I just publicly would like to thank our Deputy Mayor, Dr. Griesbach, for covering last Thursday for me. I hear you did a great job, and you didn't break the gavel, and that's all good stuff. And for those of you, I was at the ALUM, that's the Allegheny County League of Municipalities. I'm on the board of directors. I represent our interests down there. But, Doc, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
No problem at all.
Okay, we're going to now open up for comment on proposed agenda items only, so anybody would like to come up and address council, this is certainly your time. Seeing none, we'll move over. We have an executive session announcement. Council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons prior to Citizens Night on Thursday, June 4th, 2015, beginning at 6 p.m. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at tonight's council meeting. And if, ladies and gentlemen, if you do look at the agenda, we were going to have a presentation. We will do that next month, so we apologize for that. Okay, council, moving over to the approval of the minutes as submitted. Looking at council work session as of January 8th, 2015, the Citizens Night meeting of May 7th, 2015, the council work session of May 7th, 2015, and the regular council meeting of May 12th, 2015. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
And moving over to approval of our reports of our tax collections. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, council, any corrections or additions? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
And moving over to our payroll report, council, are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
And moving to our list of bills and budget transfers, once again, ladies and gentlemen, on council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Are you okay over there, Paul?
I was taking a sip of coffee.
Okay, very good. Council, any, on our vacancies on our boards, commissions, and authorities, are there any nominations or appointments?
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, JJ.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Mayor, I have 2 nominations and 1 appointment. I'd like to nominate Dan Gerhart for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, sir.
I'd also like to nominate Leah Vonnewagen, hope I got that right, Leah, for the Convention Visitors Bureau Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes Ayes have it.
And I would like to appoint Ralph Greco to the Police Civil Service Commission as an alternate.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Any other nominations or appointments, council?
I have one, Mr. Mayor. I would like to nominate Kim Krivda for the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other nominations or appointments?
That's not an appointment, that's,
That's an
a-
A
appointment.
nomination.
No, it's a,
that's an appointment. It's already been nominated.
Was that an appointment?
I'm sorry.
Nominated on March.
I apologize, I did nominate her already. I'd like
okay,
to
so let's
appoint-
start over.
Let's start over.
I would like to appoint Kim Krivda to the Planning Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other appointments or nominations? Thank you, Bruce.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like
Please.
to appoint Robert Micah from the Third Ward from Pondview Drive to the Monroeville Finance Authority.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other appointments or nominations, council? Seeing none, we'll move over to new business, and we'll go to the number 115-3-SUB. Kenneth Crooks, is he here? Come on up, sir. Please sign in, and then you don't have to give your exact address, but you live in Monroeville, and if you'll give us a brief description of your issue.
I'm here tonight. I recently purchased a piece of property next to my house that I've had for 9 years. I'd like to combine both pieces of property so I can do a addition onto my residence.
Very good.
It's just a simple lot consolidation, correct?
Correct.
And the Planning Commission has no objection. We discussed it on Thursday.
That's correct.
Very good. Thank you, Bruce. Any questions from council?
The addition's not being done at this time, right? You're just combining the properties
Just
to one
combining.
parcel at this time?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. John?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Good luck with your issue.
Thank you.
And we'll move over to 15-6-ST Concordia of Monroeville. Please come on up, sir. Sign in and state your name for the record.
Sean Donnelly of the Gateway Engineers, 400 Holiday Drive, Pittsburgh.
And if you'll just briefly state your issue before council, sir.
Sure. We're here tonight for final approval for an addition at the Concordia of Monroeville, which is formerly the Cedars on Northern Pike. They're proposing to construct a therapy addition above the drop-off in this location here. It's a second-story addition. We'll still have ability to drop off vehicles and use the front entrance. It's just an above-ground addition for therapy purposes. With that project, we've already also able to gain a few parking spaces and get the site up to stormwater management compliance.
Very nice. Any questions or comments?
And we talked about that, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. John?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, and we'll move over to B, motions, and Tim, if you will, please.
Yeah, just one motion on this evening's agenda, a motion to accept the terms of the release and settlement agreement in the Stephen Pasquarello versus Monroeville case with financial settlement terms remunerated by the municipal insurance carrier.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. John?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim, if we'll move over to resolutions, if you would, sir.
Okay, two resolutions. The first one for council's consideration is a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to utilize a Huntington Bank commercial card for needed purchases, mostly internet purchases, at specific vendors at a maximum amount per purchase, only for municipal goods and/or services.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
A second resolution is a resolution authorizing the signing of a cooperation agreement for the municipality of Monroeville to submit an application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for a Keystone Communities Planning Grant.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye.
Mr. Clary,
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Thank you, Tim. Bruce, if you would.
Yes, one ordinance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2612, the benefits of Monroeville exempt and non-exempt employee, whereby we're revising the short-term disability and health benefits rebate policies.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Bruce. And we'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. And Bruce, do you have any questions?
I
or
do
any
not.
comments?
I do not.
Tim?
No comments.
Paul, I see you have one issue.
No longer an issue, Mayor.
All righty, very good.
Road's open.
And for our CFO, Sean, nothing. I do want to make one comment on road construction. Mike Adams asked me about the Pitcairn Road, that they were not really moving as quickly or haven't, but apparently they've started. I did make some,
They mobilized Monday.
that is, yes, that's correct. I called, and thanks to Dr. Martoni, our county councilman, he certainly helped us get that moving as they should. Okay, we'll now move it open to public comments by our residents here. This is your time for any issue you'd like to bring up in front of council. Ralph, if you haven't signed in, I think you did, but sign in if you didn't. And then Robert, we'll get to you next, sir.
Ralph Greco from Monroeville. I wanted to thank council for voting me in for this police civil service, and I'll try to do the best job I can.
You're a
Thank
good
you,
man,
Ralph.
Ralph.
Congratulations, Ralph.
Robert, come on down. If you haven't signed in, please do so, sir.
Haven't done it yet, sir.
Okay, my question, Mayor and Council, I'd like to find out on page 2B, motions, can you elaborate on that, please?
Mr. Dykes.
Yeah, that would, where is Bruce right
He
now?
just went to get a coffee.
Hang in there, bud.
Sounds good.
Not sure about that.
I'm here
so-
for the evening, sir.
He escaped.
Oh. I'm sorry.
We can talk about it now because the motion was passed, but I'd leave it up to
To send it to
Okay.
AP.
He'll be right back.
Give me all the stuff that he won't give me.
Maybe, maybe.
Well, Robert, why don't you hang on? Let me ask if anybody else would like to
Okay,
address council,
I'll
then we'll
come
bring
back.
you right back up. I apologize for that. Would any other resident like to address council at this time? This is certainly your time to do so. Well, you know what we're going to do? We'll just wait till Bruce moves in. So any comments from council?
Are we going to do that now?
Committee reports and bounce back?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we'll start off with you, Linda. And then when Bruce comes in, then
Then we'll
we'll
just go back.
get Robert up and get his question answered.
Okay,
Linda.
again, I'd like to congratulate all the graduates of Gateway for this, for 2015, and also to remind everyone to drive safely, the children are out playing. And a big thanks to UPMC for their $25,000 donation to the senior center so that they could purchase new fitness equipment for the center, along with the donation of the $24,000 from the senior center themselves. They were able to really make it a wonderful space. And also to remind everyone that the senior council also donated $8,000 to pay for the fitness trainers in the room. They donated their own money, and so it hasn't cost the residents a penny. So they're doing a fantastic job over there. Please stop by.
Nick?
Yes, Mayor, once again, the Monroeville Community Pool is open for business, and hopefully we have a nice warm summer for them to do a good business down there. I guess they had a great, actually May, that last week of May, they did really well, actually opening week. So please visit the pool, and it's definitely in good shape heading into the summer. The parks, there's been some maintenance done at some of the parks. Once again, if you're out there and enjoying the playgrounds and the parks, and if anything looks in disrepair, please let your councilperson know or let the main office know so we can get things fixed as quickly as possible. And then in regards to maintenance, property maintenance, not everyone has the money or the wherewithal or the desire to do a lot of landscaping on their properties. However, there are ordinances in place that you have to at least maintain your property, mow your grass, and keep things cut back. And that's a benefit to the whole community, to your neighborhood. So please try to maintain your property as the best of your ability. And that's all I have for this evening, Mayor.
Okay, Robert, you want to come on up and re-ask your question? And Mr. Dice, we're going to turn it over to you, sir.
Are you ready, Mr. Dice?
I think I am.
On page 2, item B, motions, it was about the Pasquarelli thing. I'd like to, if you can, if you're allowed to elaborate, please do so.
Tim, have we voted on it?
Yes, done.
Okay. I think we, at this point, now that it's voted upon, we can release the release, and I would instruct the manager to do that after the meeting.
You could not elaborate here, or
Well,
Just
yeah, I
give us some
can.
brief sketch.
There was to say it very generically, there was a settlement to end all litigation with Mr. Pasquarella for the sum of $9,000, which the insurance company paid. That's it.
There wasn't,
that it?
that's it.
That's it.
That was the $9,000.
That's what I said, too.
I can't say what I want to say.
I know.
That probably makes about 10 of us up here, so what are you going to do? Ron Harvey.
A couple of things I reported on Citizens Night, I'm going to repeat. Wanted to thank the VFW and everybody that was involved in the Memorial Day Parade. Wanted to thank Grace Life Church and Kathy Sevilla and Pastor Buck and the entire congregation down at the Grace Life Church for the special memorial service they had the Sunday before Memorial Day, honoring the veterans and the public services in Monroeville, public protection services, the fire departments and the police department. I think it was a very wonderful service and a nice thing that they did. I want to urge the municipal residents to go to the municipal website to look at the new recreational open burn law. Now, I had a question asked of me since then, because they're a little different. The municipal ordinance is a little different than the county ordinance. And Mr. Dice, I think you would confirm the municipal ordinance is a little stricter, so it is the one that applies.
Yes, because it's more encompassing than the county's ordinance. Certainly, the county could enforce its ordinance, but you certainly can enforce yours that has more restrictions in it.
Okay. One of the reasons, besides the fact of just sheer enforcement, is I know a couple of the fire departments wanted to carry those fact sheets with them and just give them to the residents if there was any question, if they had to respond to an open burn. So the answer is to copy the municipal ordinance one.
That would be correct. And is it online, Tim?
The municipal one is it's on our department website.
Okay.
All right, I just talked to Mr. Hugus before the meeting. There's a piece of property that borders the gas company property, and Mr. Little's aware of this, at the corner of Franklin Heights and Center Road. And the gas company, actually, a couple weeks ago, I asked Mr. Little if he could have our crews cut the grass there because nobody was taking care of it at least one time until I researched it, which he did, and all the residents called and thanked for having that done. Now, that being said, it has since grown in, and the gas company came and cut an area around their gas well, but the side from that to Center Road and from the other side to the vacant piece of property is not being maintained. I wanted to know if council would allow us to, or the manager to add that to our subcontractor for taking care of abandoned properties to cut the grass, because it's getting bad. And I don't know who to ask to cut it.
Well, we contacted the gas company. Is it their responsibility?
Yeah, that was, I was going
The
to
gas company did their part, it's not all theirs. So
who owns the
if
other
you go by there right now, in the middle of the high grass is the grass being cut around the well.
Well, who owns the rest of it?
Who owns the property is the question.
Nobody.
We're going to find out.
Okay.
Don't know at this point.
My point is that I just want to keep the grass cut there for the residents, and if we have to put the lien on it like we do with abandoned properties, just have our subcontractor add to the list and have them cut it.
You would go through Tim and Paul on that.
I don't need,
Yeah,
I
we
mean, wouldn't it
need
make
to know
more
who
sense
owns
to
it.
contact the property owner first?
Yeah, well, that's what Paul said. He's going
That's
to
what we
find
need to
that
do.
out.
We need to research the property ownership and go from there.
Mr. Sedlak and the Franklin Heights residents say that the owner of that piece of property between the gas well and the first house belonged to the developer who's long gone out of his existence.
Then who would we lean?
Whoever might purchase it or.
You'd
I
lean
don't
the
know.
record, you'd lean the record property owner, whoever that might be.
I'm just trying to get it maintained for them.
So I think what you want, I think, Ron, to try to get this off the discussion, why don't you just make a motion to add it to the list?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to add the corner of Center Road and Franklin Heights near the gas well property to the list for our subcontractor to maintain, as well as putting whatever lien is needed to on that.
I'll second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesau?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Bruce, I just have a question on that issue. If we find that there is no real true owner because the man's out of business or whatever, could we not maybe, if we can get the property, maybe offer it to some of the residents may be interested in it? I don't know exactly where you're talking about, Ron, if that's,
So, we have several pieces of property that we would offer to residents, but the problem is you still have to go through, you still have to get title to it.
right.
And title only is going to come to you through a sheriff's sale, a tax sale.
Bruce, is this something that the land bank could help us on?
Sure.
And that's, yeah, amen. That's
What
another
land
issue.
bank?
So wait, so we don't even know if taxes are being paid on this property?
I don't think anybody's looked at this point.
But I need to find out if there's a county lot and block number assigned to it.
Right.
That's the basis of everything. If it's a rogue piece of land with, as part of that development, it had a number assigned to it.
Then there'll be no
that's-
taxes.
Then it's a different issue.
And that
But if there's a number assigned to it, then we pursue that.
And I'll say this, until we figure out where it's going or who's doing it, I'm not that busy. I'll help come cut it. It won't cost
How
you a
big is
dime.
the piece of property down there?
About as big as this room?
That's
Well,
the point.
Oh, is
not
it that
count-
big? Oh, I didn't know it was that big. I thought it was a little.
Taking the well out of the middle?
Remember, the gas company cuts around their well.
Right.
If you go over there and look right now, both sides of the well are uncut.
And it's about the size of this room.
Good point.
Yeah,
Well, Paul, you're going to look into it and see where
Yes, sir.
we're at on that. So that's,
meantime, we can have our subcontractor.
Yes.
Yes.
all right, Ron, anything else?
All right, yeah, just an announcement, I've gotten phone calls from some of my residents asking if there was anything new on the Turnpike development, and to let everybody know, I have heard nothing. They have promised that when they get close to our area, that they have either a meeting with us or a community meeting, and I have heard nothing from the Turnpike. So to answer everybody's question, I have heard no further. They have seen the little surveying flags go up, and I guess they're wondering what's going to happen. There's one person that wants to do some improvement on their property, but needless to say, don't want to spend all the money if the Turnpike's going to take it. Next to last, I have a request from the dispatch center, and I don't know, council, who to go to with this, but they have 22 ways, drives, pieces of pavement that they need, paper streets that they need named for their CAD system, so they can enter it in there as far as locations go. And an example would be this bridge across the street, the road that connects Monroeville Boulevard with Old Northern Pike has no name.
As a state route number.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Paul?
It has a state route number.
It does, but the entrance, all their examples are here. For example, the entrance to UPMC East, is that officially named
Yes.
UPMC Drive?
Yes. A lot of those might have been already done.
Why don't you take a look at the list?
I will do
Yeah,
that.
why don't you give that to Paul, and then he certainly can address that issue.
What would happen, I mean, how would we go about that?
Well, Paul, am I not correct? Like
We'll
we
look
did-
and see if there's not a name assigned to it, then we can assign a name to it.
Okay.
But it's by resolution.
That
So
is correct.
about for next month, we can have a list compiled for you.
Okay. And last but not least, just a couple of the bills that the residents said they actually like hearing and, well, not like hearing, but are interested in hearing. The property maintenance, the very thing that we were just talking about, is about $885 a month. The third installment on our insurance for the municipality is $44,736. And we did a traffic light Opticom repair, which thank God that's done. And for those of you that don't know what that is, those are the sensors that turn the traffic signals in favor of an emergency vehicle. That was $9,600, and I really thank that was done. And I have a triple question mark here, is who knows how much we've spent on right-to-know responses. It's more Mr. Sedlak than, as all I can tell you is there was a lot of them, and they keep coming, so. That's.
Thank you, sir. Jim?
Yes, sir. Convention Center, a couple of things going on. Saturday, June 27th is a wine festival and comedy show. There's not a lot going on. July 11th and 12th is the Greensburg Train Toy Show. I'd also like to once again thank all the people that showed up to vote in the Fourth Ward. I appreciate it. And most importantly, keep your eyes out. We have a meeting again tomorrow night with the parade committee. If we have our way, this year's 4th of July parade will be bigger and better than ever. Watch the paper. There'll be another ad. Please get involved. Business, whoever you are, call somebody. We have a hotline. Get a hold of me, and hope to see you all there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Paul?
Just two quick things. Please remember that the library is starting their summer programs now. Everything's getting wound up. Taking advantage of it. It's for people of all ages. And the second one is for the residents that were questioning the turnpike when they put in pine trees. The pine trees have since died. They were asking how we can get that fixed. We are working on it. Turnpike's cooperating with us, and hopefully we'll have a resolution soon. That's all I have.
Steve?
Oh, I have, the Monroeville Municipal Authority asked me to pass on a few things, and one is all the road work at the intersection of Alpine and Route 22 has been completed, all the paving and marking, so it's done. No more nightmare on 22, which is a great thing. And for the Elliott Road residents, the line should be completed next week, and the road and yard repairs will begin late next week. So in other words, all the properties that were affected will be taken care of.
Very good.
And that's all. And a happy birthday to my wife, Michelle, and that's all I have.
Happy birthday,
All right.
Michelle.
Happy
Thanks.
birthday, Michelle. Here you go. Tom?
I have two things. I'd like to thank the OPEB committee. We were able to get the OPEB back on track, and through the help of our CFO, and it's moving in the right direction finally. And the other thing is, I'd like to thank our tax collector's office for doing such a great job. They've collected, for the first 6 months this year, approximately $600,000 in delinquent taxes, and that's 3 or 4 different categories. But they told us they would try to get it at they set their goal at 500,000, and already they've exceeded that at the 600,000. So thank you very much. That's it.
All right, and I'll be very brief as well. Ron mentioned this already, but I would like to thank Post 820, our American Legion post here in Monroeville, for hosting, if you will, and doing a lot of work. In particular, I'd like to say to Bobby Gibson, who was very much involved, very deeply involved in this. Thank you, Bob. And you know what? If you I don't know how many people know Bob Gibson. I know a lot of us do in Monroeville. Please keep him in your prayers. He's fighting a lot of health issues right now, and, you know, he's just a great guy. So when you think about Bobby, just say a little prayer for him. I kind of piggyback on Councilman John's report. Kathy Sevilla and I did a program today, and that should be airing Saturday, and it's concerning the July 4th parade. Please take the time. I think you'll be very excited. As you all know, Kathy Sevilla has a lot more energy than anybody I know, and she's just very excited about it. And there really are a lot of new things that'll be in this parade. And I agree with Councilman John that it's definitely going to be a really good parade to watch. Secondly, I'd like to thank Mike Adams. I've had some tough issues come across my email with residents, and Mike and the staff down there definitely has stepped up, and there's some other issues that they're working on, and I just wanted to publicly thank Mike and Public Works for their good work. And last but not least, Paul Estock, thank you for taking care of Patton Heights Park. I know you're still working on that. And to the residents of the Fifth Ward, and Paul, I know you'll agree that the park looks a lot better. They've changed the chains. They brought brand new chains in. They cleaned up a lot of the equipment. That wall that came down has been repaired, and they did a lot of work. So, Paul, to you and the Public Works staff, thank you again on that, as well as you, Mike. And with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I forgot one thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Beginning of the month, Doug Cole provided us some statistics from the police department. I just wanted to run them to the public for a minute. I thought they were interesting, and Patrol Division covered an average of 1,205 square miles every day for the month of May, which made a total of 37,381 miles they patrolled. They answered 1,475 calls for service, which averaged 50 calls per day or 2 calls per hour. That being said, I looked at the overtime sheet that he also provided us, and all of that is pretty much unavoidable except for the shift overtime, and I would like to put in a request that the chief, there's 354-hour shift overtime. Would adding additional police officers cut that and still be cheaper than the overtime? I mean, obviously not. I mean, how many would that equal? That's a lot of overtime if you go by time and a half.
I mean, I'd have to look into what the benefits package to come up with that. We certainly will do that at the budget time. But yeah, we have shift overtime that's part of our minimum staffing that continues to be
Well, that's the only
an issue
part I
for
was
us.
worried about was
Yeah.
being light on shift.
We've done a little better with the fact that we have newer guys that have less vacation time. But again, like anything else, our department staffing's down, and that's something we have to look at to see exactly where the cost savings would be. Usually it is overtime's, Ron, overtime's, it doesn't come with a benefit package, so there's you have to weigh both of that to see what an FTE would cost.
I'm just
in relation
saying
to
that I would rather, if we're going to pay that kind of money, I'd rather have
Sure.
2 more police officers on the road, or whatever it equals.
What's an officer average, 8 times, 160 hours a month is a normal officer, 20 days a month, 8 hours a day. So yeah, you're looking, there's three officers if you look at that, and real rough figures. And that's at time and a half rate as compared to regular straight rate.
Right,
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, benefits part of it too, absolutely. And that's why I'm hesitant to give you a full out statement to that, because you have to look at a benefit package and everything that goes with it. So the overtime in many cases is cheaper, but we are having our share of overtime. That's
Yeah, but isn't that more in the summer though, Doug, with the vacation times?
It does pick up with vacation. There's contractual issues with people we have to allow off by contract. But yeah, certainly, the overtime though does pick up in that and around the holiday season too, Mayor.
Well, we'll be talking about that in the budget process, so.
And lastly, I do want to thank Mike Adams and all the guys over at Public Works. I've made a few requests that they responded to very quickly, and what was most impressive, or just as impressive, was the calls that I got from the residents who went out and talked to the Public Works Department and just said those guys did everything they wanted them to do, and were very personable, and so it means a lot to the residents, so I wanted to thank them for that.
Once again, council, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Steve.